Tales of Herding Gods, Chapter 5 and 16. Chapter translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Eternal Peace. Imperial Preceptor knitted his brows tightly as his gaze swept across the battlefield. Countless will-o'-the-wisps drifted like ghostly flames, each one borne by messengers of death who carried dim lanterns. Beneath their cold glow, small boats ferried the souls of the fallen, guiding them steadily toward the abyss of Yudu. If they refused to let the messengers of death take Chinmu away and instead chose to resist, then such an overwhelming number of death envoys would surely reduce Supreme Emperor Heaven to a land of pale desolation. He turned his eyes toward Chinmu, his thoughts wavering as he murmured under his breath, unable to reach a firm decision. I've already stepped into Yudu twice before. The first time, I was lured there by Dutian Devil King. I was the one who saved you and escorted you back to the realm of the living, came the calm voice of the elder behind the lantern. Startled, Chinmu turned his head, yet no matter how he focused, he still could not discern the man's face. The second time, Grandmaster, Fatty Dragon, the White Bat Brothers and I fell into Yudu together, and once again we survived. Chinmu steadied his heart and stepped down from the flying ship. With unhurried steps, he approached the small boat, then turned back and waved toward the others. A gentle smile curved his lips as he spoke. Yudu is not as perilous as you all imagine. I will go and speak clearly about the cause and effect behind the return of the 48,000 souls. Once that matter is settled, I shall return. The dragon Chilin parted his mouth as if to speak, yet after a moment's hesitation, he swallowed his words. Cult Master is being reckless. How could Yudu not be dangerous? There are bizarre fiends everywhere, and even Saturn's star sovereign, that terrifying monster. But my own standing is already precarious. Compared to Brother Tiger, I look quite lacking. Best I remain silent. If Cult Master gets angered and stops giving me spirit pills, I'll suffer greatly. The Black Tiger God stepped forward, preparing to speak, but Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor raised a hand to halt him. Shaking his head slightly, he asked, "Does Cult Master intend to leave behind his corporeal body?" Chinmu's heart stirred, and in an instant he grasped the deeper meaning. Imperial Preceptor wished to abandon his fleshly vessel. Should he fail to return, they could forcibly summon his soul back with the art of Soul Guide. Imperial Preceptor need not worry. Chinmu plucked the tiny dragon from his ear and sent it away, then waved once more. It is safer for me to bring my corporeal body along. I shall borrow this little dragon again once I return from Yudu. Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor was momentarily taken aback, unable to comprehend his reasoning. While he pondered, the small boat had already begun to drift away, vanishing leisurely into the boundless darkness. The young dragon flew back to the ship and coiled around Chinyu. Why did Cult Master refuse to leave his corporeal body behind? Eternal Peace Imperial Preceptor muttered in confusion. If several gods worked together to cast Soul Guide, we should have been able to retrieve his soul from Yudu. Standing upon the small boat, Chinmu looked out into the surrounding void. Countless boats filled with souls floated through the darkness, all moving in silent procession toward the depths of Yudu. Their lanterns flickered faintly, and from afar they resembled stars drifting across a pitch-black sky. King Yama had once told him that if the opportunity arose, he must visit Yudu at least once. That was why Chinmu had rejected Imperial Preceptor's proposal. Though King Yama had spoken vaguely, Chinmu sensed that his own birth in Yudu was far from ordinary. Now that Earth Count had summoned him, this rare chance might allow him to uncover the hidden truth of his origins. The small boat glided with astonishing speed, yet, as he sat within it, Chinmu felt no motion at all. Only the dim and shifting scenery told him that they were moving. A faint tremor stirred within his heart. From the boat, he could still glimpse Supreme Emperor Heaven receding into the distance, gradually swallowed by darkness. As they journeyed on, he beheld countless other worlds. From grand and majestic realms to lesser domains, small boats bearing lanterns continuously emerged, joining the endless procession. From afar, the dark skies and flickering lights within those worlds stirred endless thoughts in his mind. He could not help but imagine the countless stories unfolding within them. Perhaps tales of sorrow and hidden bitterness, perhaps legends of heroism, or perhaps the simple joys and griefs of mortal lives. It is actually your fourth time entering Yudu. At the bow, the messenger of death hung his lantern and turned to face Qin Mu. His voice remained steady as he continued, "You were born in Yudu. This makes it your fourth visit." Qin Mu's curiosity was immediately piqued. "Senior, I have no memory of my birth. May I ask if you could tell me what happened? When you were born, you caused a great upheaval that shook all the worlds of Yudu. In the end, the powerful beings reached a consensus to exile you." Qin Mu examined the elder's face intently, yet it remained shrouded, impossible to see through. "Thus you were exiled. As for what followed, I do not know," the messenger of death said slowly. Qin Mu was momentarily stunned before bursting into laughter. "When I was born, I must have been a mere infant. How could I possibly cause such a disturbance? And for the great powers of Yudu to exile a baby, doesn't that seem excessive?" "It was already an act of great mercy," the messenger of death replied evenly. "From my perspective, exiling you after what you had done was already extremely generous. Once you were gone, those great beings celebrated for days." "What exactly did I do?" Qin Mu grew even more bewildered. What could an infant possibly accomplish? The messenger of death did not answer. The small boat slipped into a world and passed through it, and after a brief time, they arrived within a smaller world contained inside. Qin Mu lifted his head and gazed at the heavens. The sun, moon, 5 elements and stars shone with extraordinary brilliance, radiating multicolored light. High above, a divine bridge stretched across the sky, upon which stood a primordial spirit shaped like a deity. "This is the divine treasure of a powerful practitioner of the divine bridge realm," Qin Mu exclaimed in astonishment. "We have entered someone's divine treasure." The messenger of death retrieved a notebook and flipped through its pages. Finding a name, he spoke. "Han Zhen, your lifespan has reached its end. I will return to fetch you in 3 days. Settle whatever affairs you must." The primordial spirit upon the bridge lowered its gaze. "I understand. Thank you, messenger of death, for granting me 3 days." The messenger nodded. The small boat exited the world and returned to Yudu, continuing onward. From the moment a person is born, they enter into a pact with Earth Count. When their lifespan ends, their soul must journey to Yudu. The messenger originally assigned to inform you intended to enter your life and death divine treasure to deliver Earth Count's command. However, he was blocked by the treasure on your body. Thus, I had no choice but to come to the world of the living to find you. The longer this is delayed, the more unfavorable it becomes for you. Still confused, Qin Mu smiled and asked, "I am only at the 6 Directions realm. My life and death divine treasure has not even opened yet. How could a messenger enter it?" "To you, it may appear closed, but to us messengers of death, it is always open. When we enter a person's life and death divine treasure to deliver a message, it is akin to planting a dream," the messenger replied. "However, we were obstructed by the treasure on your body and could not enter your dream." Qin Mu took out his jade pendant and asked, "The treasure you keep mentioning, could it be this jade pendant? Where did it come from? Does it carry some kind of curse?" "Wear it properly. Do not remove it," the messenger of death said urgently. Qin Mu could only tuck it back beneath his clothing. Still wary, the messenger of death produced a strip of yellow joss paper and affixed it to Qin Mu's face. He then lifted his lantern and cast its glow into the surrounding darkness. "Which Dao friend hides in the shadows nearby?" Qin Mu poked 2 holes through the paper and peered around. Darkness stretched endlessly, and nothing could be seen. Suddenly, the lantern's light revealed a slick, glistening body. It darted swiftly, its scales reflecting shifting hues before vanishing once more. The messenger hesitated briefly, then sneered. "He is someone Earth Count has summoned. Do not attempt anything, or you will pay dearly for your crimes." Soft laughter echoed around the boat. In the darkness, monstrous eyes flickered into existence, enormous and numerous, encircling them entirely. "Since Earth Count wishes to see him, we will not interfere. After all, we dwell in Yudu and seek shelter under Earth Count's authority. However, we too serve masters and have received orders to find him." Voices came from every direction, accompanied by eerie laughter that felt like worms gnawing through flesh and bone. Sovereign equal to heaven, you are the general governor of heavenly talismans, an official sovereign of Yudu. We should show you some respect. Yet you have concealed his face to hide his identity. How are we to answer our masters? Remove the yellow talisman, and we will allow you to take him." The messenger of death let out a cold sneer. Instantly, the countless eyes shut and vanished. Another boat approached, bearing an elder whose lantern illuminated the surrounding void. In the darkness, the slimy figures recoiled and slithered away from the light. Qin Mu's gaze flickered. More and more small boats converged upon them, overlapping with their vessel. The messengers of death merged as well, and in the blink of an eye, 60 to 70 boats and their occupants fused into one. "Now we need not worry about them," the messenger said calmly. "Who were those that tried to stop us?" Qin Mu asked at once. "Gods and devils planted by the celestial heavens." The messenger shook his head. "A group of parasites who reap what they did not sow." Qin Mu fell into contemplation as the small boat continued forward. At last he beheld Earth Count once more. What he saw was not the complete form, but the horns. Vast, 9 bent structures. Layer upon layer of worlds formed those horns. As the boat drew nearer, the horns appeared ever more colossal, transforming into immense lands. Countless volcanoes erupted, linking those lands together. The paper boat passed through one such region, and Qin Mu saw innumerable souls struggling through a realm of molten magma. The boat drifted onward. After an unknown span of time and countless traversed layers, it finally came to a halt. This land held no palpitating hells, only a cluster of grand and majestic palaces. The small boat descended, stopping before them. Upon the palace hall were characters written in the language of Yudu. Qin Mu glanced at them and instantly understood. Manner of benevolent, saintly king equal to heaven. The messenger entered and said, "This is my manor. Your body is too small. Earth Count cannot meet you directly. Wait here. A clone of Earth Count will come to question you." Qin Mu examined the murals within the manor as he waited. They depicted various ancient myths and legends. Suddenly, magma surged forth from the center of the hall. The floor transformed into a bubbling sea of molten fire. It swirled and churned, and from within it rose a pair of twisted horns, followed by the towering form of Earth Count, over 30 yards in height. The messenger of death bowed and presented a thick book. "I have brought Qin Fengqing. All the evils he has committed are recorded within this volume. May Earth Count review it." Qin Mu hurried forward and saw that the book was incomparably thick. Alarmed, he quickly said, "I did not commit all the deeds recorded there. I am only 18 years old. How could I have done so many evil things?" The magma-formed Earth Count took the book and flipped through its pages. Divine light blazed from his eyes as he spoke. "The deeds recorded here are not from your life in the world of the living, but from Yudu. Is the jade pendant I crafted for you still in your possession? I can sense that its seal has recently begun to loosen." Qin Mu's pupils dilated as though struck by a thunderbolt. Disbelief surging through him like a tidal wave, and his heart trembled violently. His jade pendant, this object he had worn since infancy, the one he had always believed to be a keepsake of the Qin family, had actually been forged by Earth Count. That jade pendant had accompanied him from his earliest days, resting against his chest like a silent witness to his life. How, then, could it possibly have originated from the hands of Earth Count, the sovereign of Yudu? What kind of hidden bond lay between them? Could it be that he had once committed unspeakable evils, so grave that Earth Count himself had sealed him with this pendant? Yet how could that be? He had been but an infant, barely 1 or 2 months old. What evil could a child so young have committed? His memories held no trace of such deeds. Moreover, within eternal peace and supreme Emperor Heaven, who did not know that Cult Master Qin was upright, magnanimous, and benevolent? How could he have committed sins before even gaining awareness? The seal should have loosened somewhat. The magma-formed Earth Count spoke in a voice like molten stone flowing, his massive fingers flipping through the ancient tome with effortless ease. "There were once several gods and devils who attempted to break the seal. Though they failed, it seems their efforts caused the seal to loosen, nearly releasing you. It matters not. I shall reinforce it later." His reading speed was astonishing, like a blazing current sweeping across the pages. In but moments, he had perused every record of Qin Mu's past misdeeds. When he reached the final entry, his voice rumbled forth. In the ominous lands of Supreme Emperor Heaven, Qin Fengqing of the Qin family employed Soul Guide to disrupt Yudu, forcibly seizing 48,000 souls, injuring a messenger of death. Using Soul Guide to take those 48,000 souls, that was indeed my doing. Qin Mu replied calmly, though his tone carried an edge. But injuring the messenger of death was not. That was done by 7 Kills Star Sovereign Wei Liao. If you wish to pursue accountability, you should seek him. The Magma Earth Count turned his colossal head, his blazing gaze shifting toward Elder Messenger of Death. Was it 7 Kills Star Sovereign Wei Liao who injured the Messenger of Death? There was once a record of 7 Kills Star Sovereign Wei Liao within the Life and Death book, Elder Messenger of Death answered respectfully. However, 20,000 years ago, he perished and his soul scattered, his name was thus erased, and he is no longer under Yudu's jurisdiction. Nevertheless, the escape of those 48,000 souls was largely due to Qin Fengqing assisting Wei Liao in retrieving and restoring his soul. Therefore, the debt of injuring the Messenger of Death must be recorded under Qin Fengqing's name. After all, he still lives, and his name remains inscribed within the Life and Death book. The Magma Earth Count's gaze returned to Qin Mu. Do you accept this debt being recorded under your name? I do not. Qin Mu responded without hesitation. Record it under his name, the Magma Earth Count instructed. The matter shall be settled in the future. Qin Mu's face darkened instantly, as though storm clouds had gathered upon it. If you were going to record it under my name regardless, why ask me at all? Yet when he heard the words settled in the future, a flicker of hope ignited within his heart. This implied that Earth Count did not intend immediate punishment, but merely sought to clarify cause and effect. The Magma Earth Count closed the heavy tome with a thunderous finality and lowered his head, his immense presence casting a shadow over the tiny figure below. Why did you disrupt the order of Yudu and summon those souls into the realm of the living? Did something awaken within you? Do visions of Yudu flicker through your mind? Qin Mu stood in a daze for a brief moment before shaking his head. When I was cast out of Yudu, I should have been no more than 1 or 2 months old, correct? How could I possibly retain memories of that place? As for summoning those souls within the ominous land, I had no other choice. He then recounted the reasons behind his use of Soul Guide in full detail, withholding nothing, and afterwards stood still, awaiting judgment in silence. The Magma Earth Count continued to observe him, his gaze as deep and inscrutable as the abyss. After a moment he spoke again. Are there truly no memories stirring within you? Nothing at all? Qin Mu shook his head once more, smiling faintly. What could I possibly remember? If you remember nothing, the Magma Earth Count pressed, his voice slowing, then how did you become fluent in the language of Yudu? His gaze seemed capable of piercing through flesh and soul alike. Mastery of the Yudu tongue allows one to cultivate its paths, its arts, its divine abilities, to open the gates of the Devil Path's divine treasures. Are you not curious as to how you were able to open them? Devils are descendants of the devil gods of Yudu, Elder Messenger of Death added from the side. Thus they may open the divine treasures of the Devil Path. Are you not curious as to why you can do the same? I am, Qin Mu replied, curiosity shining in his eyes. How was I able to open both the divine treasures of the Devil Path and those of the God Path? That is because you are a descendant of Carefree Village and also a life form born within Yudu. Before he could finish, the Magma Earth Count interrupted him. He need not know everything, nor do we need to explain. He has been summoned here for questioning, not to extract secrets from us. Elder Messenger of Death came to an abrupt realization and chuckled. He tricked me into revealing something. This brat's expression is truly detestable. He made me fall into his trap. Qin Mu flushed red and said awkwardly, My curiosity was stirred by official sovereign, so I simply asked. I had no intention of extracting information. I am but a small child who has just turned 18. Elder Messenger of Death shook his head. One cannot even tell when he is lying. The Magma Earth Count nodded. This is learned cunning. It was not innate, but acquired from the living. Training has shaped him thus. In that case, How much of what he says is truth, and how much falsehood? The Magma Earth Count replied calmly. When he explained his reasons for summoning the souls, every word was true. After that, though he appeared to say much, he revealed nothing. Instead, he sought to question us. Elder Messenger of Death pondered carefully, and found it indeed so. My nature is not like this, Chinmu said earnestly. I was simply taught poorly by the elders of my village. That is why I have become like this. Truly, I have no memories of Yudu. This statement is true, said the Magma Earth Count. The seal remains intact. Only the memory related to language has awakened. He recalls nothing of his past experiences. Sweat beaded upon Chinmu's brow as he probed cautiously. I have killed before. Will that increase the weight of my sins? This statement is false. He is fishing for information, the Magma Earth Count declared. However, what he seeks is not a secret. You may answer. All evil committed in life is rendered equal in death, Elder Messenger of Death explained. Yudu is not a place of judgment but the domain of the dead. Unless one has committed heinous crimes or disrupted the order of Yudu, one will not be devoured by Earth Count. Chinmu let out a breath of relief, but the explanation was not yet complete. Those burdened by grievous sins are tormented by karma fire, which burns with unbearable agony. Earth Count consumes them to absorb their sins and karma. Those like you who disrupt the order of Yudu and refuse to let the dead remain dead are also consumed. Chinmu's heart tightened once more. Elder Messenger of Death observed his expression and smiled in satisfaction. However, Yudu does not interfere with the affairs of the living. You are still alive, so we cannot deal with you yet. We must wait until your death. Official Sovereign, you have been deceived by his expression once again, the Magma Earth Count remarked, startled. Elder Messenger of Death exclaimed. His original intent was to ask whether he would be punished immediately. It is truly impossible to guard against him. The Magma Earth Count nodded, then fixed his gaze upon Chinmu. Do not speak. I will question him. Chinmu stood silently. The Magma Earth Count studied his obedient demeanour, pondering for a moment. Then, instead of speaking, he slowly raised a finger. The jade pendant upon Chinmu's chest lifted into the air and drifted into his palm. He snapped off one of his long horns and drove it into the pendant. The entire horn sank within, vanishing without a trace. Rings of blazing fire radiated outward from the jade pendant before gradually fading away. The pendant floated back to Chinmu and settled once more against his chest. He quickly tucked it beneath his robes. Holding it close, the Magma Earth Count waved a hand dismissively. I wish to examine the seal upon the jade pendant. Now that it has been stabilized, send him back. Matters shall be discussed after his death. Elder Messenger of Death hurriedly said, After he dies, will he not still? The Magma Earth Count shot him a sharp glance. Instantly recalling the order to remain silent, the messenger swallowed the rest of his words. The body of Magma Earth Count churned and dissolved, his voice echoing from within the molten depths. Do not allow anyone to touch your jade pendant. Official Sovereign, when sending him away, do not speak with him. Earth Count, I wish to meet my mother. Can that be arranged? Chinmu asked urgently. But the Magma Earth Count had already vanished. Chinmu stood there blankly. After a long moment, he murmured, I only wish to see my mother. I have never seen her before. Official Sovereign, do you know what she looks like? Elder Messenger of Death hesitated, then nodded. Chinmu's eyes lit with hope as he gazed at him. The messenger was deeply troubled and hesitated. Earth Count has forbidden me from speaking with you. Official Sovereign, is my mother still alive? Chinmu asked, his voice trembling with anticipation. The messenger hesitated once more. Chinmu's expression tugged at his heartstrings, and in the end he could only nod. Do not ask further. I am already troubled. I have already disobeyed Earth Count by speaking to you. Come, it is not yet dawn in Supreme Emperor Heaven. I shall send you back to the world of the living. Chinmu followed him onto the small boat in silence. The boat drifted leisurely through the vast darkness, departing from the broken plain atop Earth Count's horns and gliding into the abyss. Earth Count's true body was incomparably immense. Chinmu could not fathom its size, but the small boat took a long time just to pass beyond the twin Nine Bends Yellow Springs. Elder Messenger of Death remained vigilant, frequently raising his lantern to illuminate the surroundings. After a time, he tossed a yellow talisman to Chinmu. Those who seek you will not abandon this chance. Affix this talisman to your face. No god or devil will be able to discern your true appearance. Whatever they see will be false, just as my own form appears now. Chin-Mu placed the talisman upon his face without a word. Why have you not made holes for your eyes? Elder Messenger of Death asked curiously. Chin-Mu replied sullenly, I have no interest. A child throwing a tantrum. At that moment the small boat came to a halt. Elder Messenger of Death stood abruptly, raising his lantern, his tone turning icy. You still refuse to give up? May official sovereign grant us a path, a voice echoed from the darkness, a chaotic blend of countless voices fused into one. We only require his face and identity within the living world. We do not seek his life at this time. You overstep your bounds. Retreat at once, or if my true body descends, you shall not even remain as ghosts. Elder Messenger of Death replied coldly. Within the boat, Chin-Mu quietly drew out the life and death book he had taken from shaman god Kui and cast its light into the darkness. The moment a name appeared upon its pages, his body trembled uncontrollably. You have revealed your hand. The eerie voice retreated swiftly into the depths. Elder Messenger of Death turned back, his gaze settling upon the life and death book in Chin-Mu's hands. He sighed. Now you know his true identity, but he also knows yours. The life and death book of the celestial heavens is rare. There are very few in existence. He will find you soon. You, take care of yourself. Chin-Mu stood stunned for a long moment. Only then did he grasp the nature of the silent game that had just unfolded.